So this video is going to cover for my 3D Art 1 project. What I wanted to do this morning is go ahead and just go over a couple announcements before I talk about your project, and then finish talking about your project, show you some examples, and then let you have the opportunity for the rest of the week to go ahead and start planning, designing, figuring out, tinkering, researching. Let me know if you have questions along the way so I can help you out as much as possible. So, just some announcements real quick. Third 9 weeks, um, I would like for you to go ahead and just make sure on Skyward, check over all of your assignments that we did. Specifically, especially with like the ceramics and cardboard project, make sure all the projects are accounted for that you did. If there's anything that you notice that has an asterisk or a zero next to, just please make me aware of it so I can update that as quick as possible. For your assignments, like I said in my intro video, we are using eCampus. My office hours are from 8 to 12. I'm still trying to figure out the WebEx. So at this time, I would really just highly recommend that you just email me at any time if you have questions through my school email. I will get back to you as soon as possible. I've already had students this week contact me, and I'm getting a better turnaround as far as reaching out back to them. So if you have questions, that's where I would suggest you first try and communicate with me. Other than that, let's go ahead and start talking about our first project. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so for this project, you are going to be creating a mandala mosaic. Now, some of you might have never heard of what a mandala is or what a mosaic is. That's what this PowerPoint is going to kind of further explain to you so you'll have a better understanding. Okay. Pay attention to what I just wanted to point out on this one image that I have is the types of objects that are being used. They're all things that are going to be objects that you find from your house. Okay. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about your project. I'll get into some more pictures, some more visuals, so then you can kind of have a better understanding as to what we're going to be creating for this. So your goal is going to be that you understand radial symmetry and the construction of a personal mandala. You will have the opportunity to construct a three-dimensional mandala using objects that you're going to be collecting from home. Your elements of art that you're going to focus on is shape, and your principle of design is going to be balance, specifically radial balance, where everything is going to radiate from the center and it's going to go outwards. And again, I'll explain that to y'all in a few minutes when we can see some examples. So your media for this is going to be found objects, and again, just to explain that a little bit more, it's going to be things that you find in your house that you no longer use. You might want to classify it under like trash, but I'm not having you guys, I do not want you guys going through like your actual physical trash cans. If you have a recyclable bin, feel free to maybe peruse around. Maybe you find like various types of like plastic lids or anything that could be useful for this project. Maybe it's some sort of like plastic straws, just certain types of bottle caps could work. Just kind of keep those items in mind when you're creating this project. And I know for some of you, you had actually brought things in and you left them in the classroom. Unfortunately, we don't have that as our option right now. So just kind of keep that in mind that you're going to have to just kind of choose new objects. Now that you know what you're doing for this project, those objects that you might have already had brought in, they might not have already worked. So just go ahead and kind of clean slate, start over. For this project, we're going to work on it for 10 school days. So we're going to have you turn it in next Friday, April 10th. And the only other thing I just wanted to address is your rubric on this page. So your mandala needs to be the size of 1 foot by 1 foot or 12 inches by 12 inches. If you'd like to use paper as a background, you can glue your pieces to it, or you don't actually have to glue anything. If you just want to lay it on the ground, like on the floor or on your countertop, you can do that as well. I just would like for you to pay attention to what it is, the color wise that's in the background. So whatever surface you're going to be working on, try and keep it as neutral as possible. So maybe like on the brown or black or white side. We just don't want any sort of like pattern or design to kind of clash in with your actual project that's going to be on top of that surface. Color scheme, I would like for you to consider the types of objects that you're using based um, on some consideration with your colors that you're choosing. So you can do any type of a color scheme. I'm just listing a few here that you can pick from, and I'll go over that a little bit more in depth with you in this presentation in just a minute. Must have at least 10 different types of objects with multiple pieces to show repetition. So that could be an example if you use like plastic straws. If you have multiple straws, maybe you arrange them in such a way that you can see some sort of a repetition, some sort of a consistency, maybe on a particular layer that you're working on. Your overall shape of your mandala should be a circle. So it's basically going to be a circle within a circle within a circle. It's just going to get smaller or it's going to get bigger. It's called concentric circles when you start to see circles that appear over and over and over again. And I'll show you again an example of that. At least 7 layers of objects that show radial balance to your mandala. And I'll show you an example of that very shortly. So, exactly what is a mandala? Some of you might have heard of this, some of you might not have heard of this. If you are a Pinterest fan and you're really into drawing, you might see, depending on what you click on a lot, um, various design patterns with mandalas. This is an example right here of a mandala, or actually these are all examples of mandalas. But traditionally they're found in Hinduism and Buddhism. And basically, the shape of a circle, it's supposed to represent our world, our physical world, our visible world, and then also the concept of the world that's inside of us. So, kind of deep inside of our minds and our bodies, it's almost used as like a healing circle. So all across the country, all across the world, circles are used for various purposes, from sand paintings to rose windows to yatras to mandalas. Again, they can be used as some type of a healing protection. And that concept of a circle within a circle within a circle, this can kind of help you get that kind of idea that we're going to go towards. So, a mosaic is a picture or pattern produced by arranging together small colored pieces of hard material such as stone, tile, or glass. You don't need to use this. I just wanted to throw this term out you if you've never heard of what a mosaic is. Instead of using glass or tile or stone, you're going to be creating your mosaic mandala out of found objects. So, um, here's an example with this one outer layer that I'm kind of just radiating around right now. They just use a collection of spoons. And it's kind of interesting. When you just look at a spoon, it just looks normal and simple and basic. But when you start to arrange them in such of a way and you see that same repetition, that same consistency, you can actually get something that looks kind of interesting when you start to just see that form over and over and over again. And then when you put them together with multiple pieces of the same thing, it can look interesting. So for color schemes, if you need some more ideas, I'm just including this slide from monochromatic, where you have one color and you're going to see tints and shades of that, to more traditional like primary colors or secondary colors. Complementary colors, again, if you're looking at the color wheel, it's the color that's opposite of its color on the color wheel. So yellow's opposite would be purple, blue's opposite would be orange, red's opposite would be green. Okay? You can do analogous, where those are colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. You can do warm colors, so focus more on red, orange, and yellow, or cool colors, purple, blues, and greens. You can kind of just go in any of those different directions. What do I mean by layers? That's that concept of that concentric circle that I was talking about, where you see a circle within a circle within a circle. So within each of your circles, you should see somewhat of a consistency in the types of objects that you're using, where you see it happening over and over and over again. Maybe you do some sort of like a pattern within 2 of your circles. I'm going to kind of let you guys decide how that's going to, again, take place. So assignments this week that you need to focus on for this week and next week are going to be your actual project notes and your sketches. Same thing what we would do in class. Turn in your project notes. You're going to submit it just with a photo, include your name, and then two sketches. This is going to be your second assignment of your mosaic mandala. If it changes throughout the week, that's okay. Just wanted to have have some initial drawings of what you're going off of. For next week, your actual project is going to be due on April 10th, and then you're going to make an explanation of your project. So that's just going to be 3/4 of a page. You can type or handwrite it, and it's basically going to be, what is your mandala? What does it represent to you? What particular objects did you use? Did you base it off of color, materials, shapes? What do all your layers mean? Is there anything that just you pulled from this that this is really going to, get deep into some sort of an explanation to? Objects that you can use for this project. Excuse me, I made a list. You can definitely pull other objects that aren't on this list. I'm just giving you some ideas from tickets. If you have like a collection of like arcade tickets or lottery tickets, maybe your parents collect those at home. Maybe whatever's found in your junk drawer. These are just things that I've seen students use in the past, and they seem to be really helpful to be getting ideas from. If you have old game boards that have pieces missing, maybe you pull from some of those pieces. And again, you don't have to like uh, cut or glue or do any kind of like manipulation to your objects. You can still use them again for whatever the original purpose was. So just keep that in mind. We're not going to be getting into any adhesives for this project. Here's just some examples to show you. We saw this one earlier. Toys, if you have any younger siblings that have collections of toys, you can do something like this, where you have one of your layers be a collection of particular dolls. Maybe you do another one where it's a particular type of um, furniture. Maybe everything is based on a certain color. Maybe this whole thing is about your younger sibling and Barbies. Um, this one just uses fake flower petals, glass beads. When I was looking at this, I think these are almonds. Okay, so if you have food you want to use for this project, I don't recommend that, but feel free. And then just also pay attention to what they're using for their backgrounds. I just want you to keep it as solid and less distracting as possible. I think this is our last slide. This is just another example to show you they're using like an analogous color scheme where it goes from yellow to orange to red, excuse me, warm color scheme, where you see just that almost like it's like an ombre effect where it goes from one color and it kind of transitions into another color at the very end. Okay, so that's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Good luck.